Our group is the best BFFs. I'm Hannah.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Joe. School we chose to do our final presentation on was Hermantown High School. We interviewed Jill Hinsala, who teaches social studies there.
Hermantown is known as the City of Quality Living. It serves students from Hermantown and surrounding rural communities. The original school was built in 1938, serving grades 1 through 9 until 1941 when they had an addition put on and turned into a high school. The new high school that's built just down the block was built in 1988 with an addition built on in 1999. Hermantown schools have 4 facilities: an elementary school, a middle school, a high school, and an early childhood family education center. Their school system only serves 1,900 students, but serves benefits of small school settings. Student population grades 9 through 12 this year are approximately 680 students. They dedicate themselves to the pursuit of academic excellence through community involvement and innovative programs. The school is small enough for everyone to know each other, but large enough to offer comprehensive lists of course offerings.
We asked Jill, what is the purpose or definition of education learning to you, and how do you think idea is reflected in your school? Her reply was that this is a ridiculously broad question for me, personally. Learning should be relevant to the real world, and as a social studies teacher, that means knowing what kind of world we live in, what the problems are, and solutions. I teach a lot about citizenship and how we affect the world and how it affects us. A lot of my coworkers are the same way, at least the good teachers are. The 7th grade science teacher is making so much of what they learn connected to their everyday lives. Our English classes learn a lot about writing and reading, but they also read books that address real-world issues and analyze them. Math is hard to make relevant to everyday life when it gets to the higher levels, but the teachers try to explain all the types of jobs that require math. So basically, what she's saying is that learning should be relevant to the real world. Teachers should try and teach information that matters. This is why a lot of teachers dislike standardized testing. It makes them teach stuff that's on the test rather than what they feel will be beneficial for the students to learn.
The next question we asked Jill was, do you feel your school has a large or small amount of diversity? How does this affect the atmosphere of learning in the school, negatively or positively? And this was Jill's answer. My school has very little diversity, a bunch of upper middle class white Christian kids for the most part. It actually makes the atmosphere pretty easy to teach in. There aren't a lot of racial or religious conflicts. However, I taught in the cities before I moved up here in a school that had about 20% minorities, and it was awesome. No racial or religious conflicts there either, and kids learned more about diversity. Granted, I taught a diversity class to middle schoolers there to help make that go smoothly. The interesting thing is that the kids in Hermantown are so used to only white kids that they are open to learning about other races and religions. They haven't had bad experiences that might make them prejudiced to others. Sometimes one bad experience with someone different makes people assume all the people in that group are that way, and that is one pet peeve of mine. So all in all, Jill is saying, when schools are very diverse, it is important that teachers teach in a way that is culturally responsive for everybody. Tests should not be biased. Classrooms should incorporate diversity so everyone is able to succeed and feel comfortable.
We asked Jill, what do you think is the most effective method or focus of teaching? Student-centered, teacher-centered, subject-centered, or a combination? Subject-centered is the curriculum can be derived from national or state standards or a program of study that defines the curriculum for each academic year. Student-centered. The curriculum matches the developmental needs and interests of the students, and the students can build their own curriculum. Teacher-centered. The teacher determines the curriculum and the delivery of subject matter. Jill's response to the question was, a combination is best. Basing teaching on what kids are interested in and teaching in a style they can relate to goes a long way. But teachers know way more, so they should be able to choose what is taught also. At least for me, teaching world geography, it's a very broad subject. There are an endless number of angles to take, and I tend to focus on people around the world, their culture, and their conflicts. But of course, I include physical geography and cool architecture and environmental topics as well. Whatever is most riveting about a place determines my focus for that unit.
Our textbook, Teaching on Principle and Promise, defines standards-based education as an approach to identify the common body of knowledge and skills that need to be built into a uniform curriculum for kindergarten through grade 12. In Minnesota, progress of students is measured in math, science, reading, and writing tests known as the MCAs, or Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment Tests. Students are given these tests multiple times between 3rd and 11th grade, and their scores are measured against standards of the Minnesota Department of Education and rated as above average, average, or below average, with percentile ranks in their own school as well as their rank in the whole state. Students who receive a below average ranking will retake the test until they receive a passing rank, and passing the math portion is now a requirement to receive a high school diploma. Other examples of standardized testing are the ACT and SAT that now play a large part in college acceptance. We asked Jill her opinion on the use of standardized testing to measure students' progress, and her response was as follows. My biggest complaint about public education right now is that there is too much standardized testing in English, math, and science, which changes the whole way classes are taught for the worse. The most meaningful learning assessments are not multiple choice tests, and instead, having students present information by heart, such as in essay questions or presentations, tells so much more of what they know than guessing A, B, C, or D. Not that there aren't good multiple choice questions out there, it is just not the end-all be-all. Maybe in math it is the one area it should exist because math is so linear and logical and there really is only one correct answer. But I can tell you that in Finland, where the students are at the top of the world in test scores, they only give standardized tests twice in their whole 12 years of school. Hardly any testing, and yet their students are the best. So that means something, but I'm not sure quite what. Jill is not the first teacher I've discussed standardized tests with, and her opinion seems to be shared by a majority of current public educators, such as Miss Leon, my former high school government teacher at Duluth East, who has now been promoted to assistant principal. The system of public education, both at Hermantown and around the state, seems to be on a fairly linear path with new policies every year pertaining to the use of standardized education. But as we can see from the similar opinions of many educators, that it seems the future may need to change from this linear and rigid measurement of learning and progress.
Now that we have given you a little glimpse of Hermantown High School, you can see that as far as academics, teaching and standardized testing is comparable to many other high schools in our state. One quote from Jules on Schools that has always stuck out to us is, "They must be real and spontaneous. They must come from a place so deep inside the teacher as a person that they can give a student a glimpse of ethics so essential as to drive the action from the inside." To us, this just gives a broad overview on what teachers are no matter what, if they come from the cities, Hermantown, or anywhere else in our country. Even though schools have their own unique characteristics like Hermantown's small town feel, they also have many similarities. Teachers are a special kind of person who always desire to educate our future.